So yeah, we're going to try to get started. We're going to try to keep the announcements kind of small, short, I mean. So if I could, we'll try to get through them quickly, but it will be about maybe 15 minutes or so of stuff here at the beginning. So those of you who are standing around, you might want to just find a seat and make yourself comfortable so people, behind you can see as well. I would appreciate that. If you're having a hard time getting enough space for your team or finding the right table, just go ahead and pick any kind of random spot now, and then we can reorganize afterwards. Wherever you sit now doesn't need to be the place you stay. And I encourage you during the hackathon, for those of you who haven't been to too many of these, one of the really nice things is mixing around, moving from table to table, seeing what other people are doing. Sometimes working on a project that you didn't plan to work on, you find out that you have some common needs or some common interests, or you can lend your skill set to help them do something. So, I encourage you to take advantage of the fact that we're all here in one big room, even if it is a little crowded, and work with each other. So that'd be great. This time I'd like to bring up Alyssa Cooper, IETF chair, to say a few words about the hackathon.
Thanks. Thank you. Nothing like starting with a whoop. So welcome everybody to the IETF 104 hackathon. Presumably when you came here today, you knew you were coming to Prague, you knew you were coming to the hackathon. What you didn't know is that you were coming to be a little part of history. This will be the largest IETF hackathon thus far, and that is because of all of you who are here. We have more than 350 people registered for this event today and tomorrow. Woohoo! And just for comparison, something like 1,100 people registered, or maybe 1,200 for the IETF meeting itself, and more than 40 projects. So there's plenty of work to go around for everybody here, even if there are maybe not quite enough chairs. But at the moment, there are enough chairs. If you need more space, definitely come talk to Charles or myself, and we can help you out with that. I want to give a huge thanks to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, who's the sponsor for this hackathon. Thank you very much. All the great food and drink and the space and the power and whatnot wouldn't really be possible without the sponsors. So if your company is interested in sponsoring, again, please come to talk to myself or Charles. We really, really appreciate that support. Earlier this week, I was at the NetDev conference. Can I see a show of hands? Anybody else who was at NetDev? Ah, pretty good. Okay, so we're trying to do a little bit more of that co-location and cross-pollination. Glad to see some folks who came over from NetDev. If you meet a friendly Linux kernel developer here, please say hello and welcome them into our fold. And otherwise, I wish you a fantastic weekend of collaboration and hacking, and enjoy.
Okay, so I usually like to ask a few questions at the beginning, and I've been asking this for the last few hackathons. How many of you, this is your first time at an IETF event of any sort? That's quite a lot. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll try to make this a good introduction into the IETF. I think this is a great way to start. So you've made a good decision. You're at the right place. How about, is this just your first IETF hackathon? A bit more, okay, that's what I would expect. Okay, great, thank you for being here. And yeah, this I kind of feel good and bad about, but how many of you are here just for the hackathon and you're actually not attending the IETF meeting? Okay, well, happy to have you contributing whatever way works for you. So thanks again to you for coming. So hopefully this is something you're all familiar with already, why we're here. And the idea is we really want to, the important work gets done in the IETF, and we want that work to continue. We want to be able to help it move forward faster, better, and by coming here together and working on stuff, by actually coding some of the things up that we're working on in the working group meetings, that's a great way for us to make sure that the work has good quality, that we figure out some of the tough problems ahead of time, and and that what we're standardizing is really implementable, and to create some software that actually helps other developers too who aren't involved in the standards process, but helps them use the standards that we're developing so that they get out there in the world much more quickly. And then also just to attract new people into the IETF. We all know that software's becoming a more and more important part of the way networks work. Open source software in particular has become very, very important. So we need to have more developers, more developer focus in the IETF, and this is a great way to do it. As with all of the IETF, we're operating under the note well. Just realize that that's here. Now there's kind of a special case with the IETF, with the hackathon, in that many of you will be working on projects that already have some kind of open source, say, license associated with it, and that's great. They're just realized that the terms of the code that you're working on, it's as laid out in the terms of the license there. So you need to follow that policy and be aware of it. That's not necessarily an IETF policy, that's a policy of the code that you're working on. When you come up here and present, hopefully you will at the end, present on your project and what you did and accomplished. That's a typical IETF contribution, but your code is governed by its license. Hopefully that's clear to everyone. If you have a problem or some questions, come see me. We can talk about it. Okay, very important, the agenda, how things are going to go. So good news, we have lunch coming in, so you'll be able to stay here and hopefully continue to work on your project. If you have any problems finding your team, forming your teams, getting space, come see me after this thing and after this little intro, and we'll help get you settled. We're also going to have dinner here in the evening, so 7 o'clock. You're welcome to stay and continue to work on stuff. If you have other plans, other meetings, we understand there's a lot to do this weekend and this week, so just make the best use of your time. We're going to do everything we can to make it efficient and fun for you to stay here, though, too. At 10 o'clock, we will close the doors, and I ask that people really be good about leaving by 10, because we want to let the hotel staff close things up and get things ready for us the next day. We don't want to make them stay later than they have to. So appreciate your help with that and really ending on time. Then Sunday, we'll start up at the same time as we did today, kind of the room's opening at 8:30. Coffee and stuff will be here. We'll have lunch provided. An important thing to keep in mind, if this is your first hackathon, we like to share some of the results of what we did at the end. So at 2 o'clock, we kind of ask people to stop working on the code that they're working on and spend some time focusing on sharing information and presenting what you did and hearing what other people did. And in addition to, it's also very important to bring the work back into your working group and the working group sessions that you attend. But letting people here know what you did is important. We'll be recording it so people who aren't at the hackathon can listen to it later. So that's a really good way to share the information and all the insights that you gain this weekend based on what you're working on. That should finish by about 4. For those of you who this is your first time at the IETF, there's the newcomers reception that I encourage you to go to. So we try to make sure we end this on time so you can get to that. And then we clear out of this room by 5 p.m. so that it's available to be used for further functions within the IETF meeting. Any questions or concerns on the agenda? Okay, great. I mentioned the project presentations. I also should just clarify, those are very short, brief presentations. As you can imagine, we have a lot of projects, so we don't want a long presentation. We're talking about just a couple minutes, really highlighting the important things that you did. Don't get too stressed out about slides or anything. They're optional. Really, it's a very informal presentation, just highlighting what's important to your work in the IETF and to helping it move forward. Well, I'll talk more about that later as well. But the way that we share the presentations is by uploading them into this IETF GitHub organization that we have. So we have in GitHub, we have a IETF hackathon organization, and there is a project there for IETF 104. So what I ask that you all do, because you're uploading these presentations at about the same time that we're presenting them. So it all has to happen sort of automatically. So the way to make that happen is make sure that you're a member of the IETF Hackathon organization in GitHub ahead of time, and then you'll be able to upload your presentation there, and we can play everything from a shared Chromebook that we'll have up here. So there's some instructions about how to make this happen. If you look at the README that is in that project I just showed you, it has some instructions about how to go about making that happen. And yeah, don't wait till the last minute to do that, because at 2 o'clock things kind of get hectic. Everyone trying to upload their presentations, and we start giving presentations up here. So get yourself set up with your membership and make sure you have right access well in advance. And then at 2 o'clock, all you need to do is upload your presentation, which should be quick. So a couple other things then. After the hackathon ends, we have a couple activities for you to consider. One is what we call this Hack Demo Happy Hour. And this is your opportunity to really share in more depth with the entire IETF community, really, what you did. We have an hour and a half on Monday evening where we encourage you to sign up to get a space for your project. And this is where people can come and chat with you one-on-one, and you can talk for, at length about what you did and have them ask questions and whatever. So it's a fun event. We'll have some snacks there. There'll be a cash bar. And just, again, a great way to share information in more detail. So if you're interested in doing that, you need to sign up for it. You can register before noon on Monday to let us know for space planning purposes. So think about that. If you have any questions, let me know. I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity to share your project. And then we have the Code Lounge, which is a way you can, just a space where you can continue to come together and work on code throughout the week of the IETF meeting. Of course, you could do that anywhere, but we just thought, well, if we create a space, it's handy for you to all gather in one space. And I should point out both the Hack Demo Happy Hour and the Code Lounge, they'll be in Chez Louis, which is on basically the other side of this same floor. For those of you who were in the hackathon previously when we were in Prague, it's that same room. It's not quite as big as this room, so we outgrew that space. But we'll still use it for the Code Lounge. Let's see. And Alyssa mentioned our sponsor. Yeah, we're very appreciative of that. It's great to have a sponsor for this hackathon. I also need to give a shout out to my team, DevNet at Cisco. They let me spend my time coming and doing this. And then I really want to give a big thank you to Jim Martin. So he's been kind of running the overall show for the network, for the NOC, for 20 plus years. And he's retiring from that job at the end of this year. So you all showed up. The network, as far as I know, has been rock solid. It's always been for all the IETF hackathons. Every single time he and his team have had the network just set up and fantastic. So we owe a lot of gratitude to him, because the network was never really needed to be up until Sunday. And now we threw this hackathon thing, and without any, he's always made it happen, and he and his team. So a huge thank you to Jim and to the whole NOC team, really. Okay. For those of you who use Twitter, we'd like you to go ahead and spread the word about what we're doing here. I know it's not all of you are into that, but it's a good way to reach out to an extended community of people who do that. So the hashtags IETF Hackathon, IETF104. Send some fun things, some informational things, whatever you want to, out to that community from here. It's a good way to spread the word. So would appreciate you doing that. And that's it. If you haven't got your T-shirt already, I think we have enough this year. For those of you who were here last time we were in Prague, T-shirts were a challenge. We have a better system this time, so hopefully you got that. But that's it for me. If you had any questions, though, I wanted to give people a chance. And of course, you can always come up and see me anytime. I'll be hanging out up here. Okay, great.